The Kansas City Chiefs had their big parade in Kansas City today, and Patrick Mahomes is running around with his wrestling belt on, and they said they're going to win the next 9 Super Bowls, and I think we've heard that before. But anyway, when you win the Super Bowl, you have every right to celebrate and be thrilled to death. Everybody was celebrating except one guy. His name, Eric Bieniemy. The saga continues for him, the offensive coordinator, for a team that's won 2 Super Bowls and been to 3, Allen, in the last 5 years. But Rob G is going to explain to us what's the dilemma. It looks like he's going to leave the Chiefs because he's not going to get a head coaching job as long as he is with the Chiefs. Rob, what's up?
Yeah, that is a big dilemma. Now, Rob, you brought it up. Eric Bieniemy, since he took over as the Chiefs offensive coordinator in 2019, some numbers for you. 5 AFC title game appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances. He won 2 of them. Okay? He's orchestrated the most explosive offense, or helped orchestrate the most explosive offense in the NFL during that time span. He's been interviewed 17 times for 16 different teams for head coaching jobs since 2019.
Nobody's been turned down more than me. That was me in high school. I mean, for real.
He hasn't even been turned down. He hasn't gotten an offer yet. And as a result, according to multiple outlets, the reason why he doesn't get an offer is because he doesn't call plays in Kansas City. That's Andy Reid's job. Bieniemy helps with the game plan, has some input on plays, but ultimately it's Andy Reid's show.
But wait a minute. How about the other guys, though? Can you get into that? Go ahead.
That is true, Rob. There's been a handful of former Andy Reid disciples who did not call plays, yet somehow got head coaching offers. Doug Peterson, Matt Nagy, most recently. And as a result, according to ESPN, Eric Bieniemy will be interviewing later this week with the Washington Commanders to make a lateral move to become their offensive coordinator.
Wow. So that he quarterback.
So that he can call plays in hopes of eventually getting an NFL head coach.
Allen, I'm going to let you start because you already know my skin is boiling. I mean, like, to see what they're making this guy jump through hoops. But go ahead. Your take on this.
Somebody would have to come out and tell me that he is the worst interviewer in the history of anybody trying to get a head coaching job. That would be the only thing that would make any sense to me at this point in time. This is absolutely egregious and outrageous that this man has not been given an opportunity. You know, Adam Gase has been a head coach twice, I believe. Josh McDaniels has been a head coach 3 times, I believe. While Bieniemy
twice as head coach, right?
Yeah, has been in the league, and nobody has given this guy an opportunity. You know, even if you want to say Andy Reid is calling all the plays and doing all this, that's fine. But he's sitting right there. So he had to have at least absorbed enough that you would say, I got to get this guy on my team because he knows how to do things. All these bums that had just continuously get opportunity after opportunity in the NFL. And here is the guy sitting here. I guarantee you, if you ask any of the guys on the Chiefs offense who play the game, who they respect and who they go to other than Reid to say, that we've got this guy's back and he knows exactly what he's doing, it would be Eric Bieniemy. I just blows my mind that you could honestly hire someone else repeatedly, pass this guy over, and say, I don't think he's ready yet because he doesn't call the plays. That is the biggest bunch of crap that you could ever put out there about somebody.
And here's the bad part, Allen, like the Athletic pointed out, that it was Bieniemy who noticed and was the one who brought up that the Eagles don't cover guys in motion. The 2 big touchdowns that they got,
right?
When remember they were uncovered,
yeah,
that was something he spotted in the way the Eagles, and then they exploited it. But the other part too, and we get it. You want to give Andy Reid as an offensive genius, and he did it. He did it with Alex Smith. He did it with Donovan McNabb. Now he's doing it with Patrick Mahomes. We get it. All the quarterbacks have played well, right, under Andy Reid.
Right.
But what about the other guys who were his offensive coordinators who got jobs? That's the part that you and you hate to cry wolf all the time. But I'm with you. Unless you tell me his breath stinks or he can't interview or whatever it might be that you don't want to hire the guy, it ain't because he's not calling plays. Because you've hired other guys who haven't called plays.
Right.
So that's ridiculous.
And the formula has always been you want to raid a guy's staff
What
that
did
is
this
doing
happen
well.
with the Eagles? The Eagles just lost their offensive and defensive coordinator because they went to the Super Bowl.
Right. And, Bill Belichick, how many coaches have teams taken a chance on that are Bill Belichick, disciples that have been under his tutelage for all those years? You want those guys on your team because you figure they do know something. They do know how the system works, and they've been around a successful program. It's almost like, we're going to penalize you for being successful.
But here's the other part. Now they're going to have them take a cut rate job in Washington. Can you tell me who the quarterback is? Because I don't know. And then you're going to ask him to go there and have an untalented quarterback not be able to complete the plays that you are calling, and then they say he's a terrible play caller.
Exactly.
Like how do you win?
Set you up to fail there.
Do we know who the quarter is? Is it Hinkie? I don't. Who's the quarter? Who is it?
As of most recently, Sam Howell, rookie.
Who? Sam Howell
is set to be their starter next season.
I mean, I heard of Bellenhowell if we're doing a movie projector, Alan, but who? Sam Howell?
This whole situation just blows my mind. How can you be interviewed 17 times, Rob, and not get a sniff of a head coaching job? Unbelievable. He was interviewed by the Colts this year. He was interviewed by the Saints last year. I mean, like I said, Arizona just hired the Eagles defensive coordinator. That Bieniemy, like you mentioned, spotted what they were doing in the second half, made adjustments.
That's the guy you want, right?
Exactly. There is no. I don't know if Andy Reid needs to step up and just finally just blast the NFL as well. As to say, I'm doing this as for a friend of mine who is just being overlooked, and it's ridiculous. I hate to lose him, but somebody needs to hire this guy.
This guy needs an opportunity. I agree with you because we need to hear something because and Andy Reid, the only thing he could say is the other guys who were doing it, Alan, who didn't call plays and they got hired, they're white guys. That's the only difference between him and Eric Bieniemy.
Right.
That's
I know
the only difference.
If I was one of the top quarterbacks in the league and I'm consistently not making the playoffs and we aren't moving anywhere, I'm walking into management's office tomorrow and go, you know what? It sure would be nice to get Eric Bieniemy in here as a head coach because I want to see what this guy can do and see what we can do. That same thing here.
100%. And but it just doesn't seem like enough people have stood up for him, and now I think it's criminal that he has to go to Washington. Just can you imagine leaving a Super Bowl team with one of the best young quarterbacks we've seen in the last 30 years?
Right.
And now you're going somewhere where they don't even know the name of the quarterback or what the future holds and what kind of weapons you're going to have in D.C. And I just a lateral move. I think it's sublateral. I don't even think it's lateral. You know what I mean? He has the same job title,
and
but he's going to be in a way worse situation.
And what happens if he does leave and the Chiefs fall off next season? Then what's the discussion?
Right. Then they'll blame Andy Reid. He's getting old.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like for real.
Right.
I mean, there are guys who are like this, and it's unfair when they're painted a certain way, and and they keep hiring all these other people over him. I'm surprised that we're still talking about this, but the NFL has a problem, as you know, Alan, with minority hires. They just do. And this rubs people the wrong way that a guy like this who's been on a team that's successful and is a part of it is being overlooked. And again, I know they're not going to come out publicly and say, this dude's a horrible interviewer. I question how much football he knows. Whatever it is.
Right.
But this just looks bad from the outside.
Yeah, you can't continue to have that kind of success in Kansas City and just say, oh, it's Andy Reid. Andy Reid's doing everything. Andy Reid's doing the mark of a good head coach, is that you, much like a president, you surround yourself with smart people who know how to get the job done. And that's what Andy Reid has been good at doing. But at some point in time, you have to loosen the reins, and I'm not doing everything anymore as a head coach. I'm trusting so-and-so. I'm trusting so-and-so. I hired so-and-so to do that job. Don't come looking to me. That's your responsibility now. So for all the success that the Chiefs have had over the years, you can't tell me that Andy Reid hasn't said, Eric Bieniemy, you go do this, or you design this, or I rely on you to do this. You're making these changes in game films. When we look at game film, you're making these on-the-spot quick changes at halftime. I mean, it's just ridiculous that this man has not been hired by any team in the NFL.
It is a shame, and I don't know where you go. I know the commissioner, Roger Goodell, was asked about minority hiring, and and at the Super Bowl, State of the NFL, and said we're making progress, not as much as we should. And I'm not really saying as Eric Bieniemy some handout. This is what you do, Alan. You reward the coordinators who are on the teams, the best teams, right?
Right.
This is we just saw the Eagles lose both the offensive and defensive coordinator. Why? Because they made it to the Super Bowl. They must be doing something right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.